when I think content marketing, I think of blog posts, podcast episodes, video tutorials, inspirational videos, those sort of things. The things that you would create to let people know who you are. Hello, writers and crafters. I'm Valerie Isan.
And I'm Erick Mertz.
And this is episode 126 of the podcast. And it is, well, still August 2nd as we record this, since we're batching.
We're in a time warp.
Today we're talking about content writing for authors. Should I write a blank? That should be a whole title on Google. I don't know.
That's really funny. I like that you kind of like said the colon part of it,
right?
Because that's
so funny. When I first started playing around with dictating, like when Dragon Naturally Speaking came out, and the whole author world was trying to get into dictating because you can write faster that way. I was starting to, and plus Siri on your phone, like I have to put the punctuation in when I'm texting, if I'm reading it out loud and or saying it out loud. And same with dictating for your books, you always put the punctuation in. You don't have to, I suppose, but it makes editing way easier if you do. And then I found that whenever I left a message on somebody's phone, sometimes I would slip into adding the punctuation.
I really want to hang out tonight!
Wow.
Exclamation point. However, comma, I have laundry to do.
You'd only do one, but as soon as I would say it, I'd be like, oh no.
Oh, that's so funny.
That. So there was a little anecdotal advice. Be careful when you're leaving voicemails not to add
Leave voicemails, people. Don't dictate them.
So funny. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we have no new patrons this week, but please go to patreon.com/Valerie Isan for lots of goodies in the writing world, benefits, and go to patreon.com/Strange Air Stories for mystery paranormal stories.
And there's a new one that will be out when this airs, a new story. So it's called Old Bones, Return to the River, What It Is Owed. It's a creepy one.
That sounds creepy. Cool.
Maybe some monsters in that one.
Ooh, I like it when you put monsters in your books.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not guaranteeing there's monsters, but I've heard that it could be a monster.
All right.
Talk to the author.
And listen, if you're a patron at a certain tier, you will get the inspirational story video also. So then you can really know about the back end of that story.
And this one will be a hoot. That video, that will be funny. So where this story came from is kind of a dark place.
So group coaching cohort starts September 2nd or 20. Oh my gosh, September 12th. To December 12th. That's $500 for 3 months, or $165 a month for 3 months. And you can go to valerieisan.com/shopping for that, or email me if you want to know more information about what comes in group coaching. And you had an announcement. You've got your book launch coming up, so you can pre-order your book. Is that right?
There's a book launching. The Season of the Shadow pre-order is up on Amazon right now.
Sweet.
Book is coming out in mid-November. It was going to be early November, but I decided mid-November is a little better. Get people while they're in the shopping mood for Christmas. Get your friend an ebook. So yeah, you can go to the Kindle store and look for Season of the Shadow and pre-order that there.
Awesome. All right.
This book is fun.
Yeah.
I just have to say, the comments that came from Writers Group Gary, he was like, you have fully jumped into what your series is about right here. Like, this is no longer like hinting at it. You're hitting it. I'm like, I know. That was the plan all along.
Did I edit this one, or did I edit the one after that?
You will. I hope.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
talk about that offline.
All right.
No, this one actually today is the last writers group for this and yeah, they read the climax, and Gary was like, this, like, you've been
Awesome.
sort of like hinting at it and teasing it, and this is the full-on thing, and I love it.
Sweet.
So
And the cover is amazing too. I love the cover.
it's a motorcycle. People responded to it.
I
Again,
just dig
thanks
it.
to you. I was so self-conscious about it. And then I put it out there, and I got like 20 comments from people like, oh my gosh, I love it. Who's riding the motorcycle? What is all that paper? So yeah, I'm excited.
Very cool.
Super excited. And the next one's already written.
I know, that's amazing right there.
The next one's written.
So how are you going to manage that launch strategy? What's your launch strategy then? So if you're putting one out in mid-November, if the other one's already written, like, when are you going to put the next one out? Just right after it, or
the next one has it? The first draft was written.
Oh, okay. So you still have to go through the revision process, which can take several months.
Yeah, I'm thinking that this one I'm going to. So I've always been with writers group feedback. I've always been a bit behind, and so this one this is what I'm really excited about as an author. I'm going to be able to take the writers group feedback and
actually revise it as you're
right. The day I get the feedback, the next day I'll be rewriting it and fixing it and getting it ready. I'm excited for that because there's just a lag, a natural lag when you get information one day and then take 2 months to get to it. So I'm excited for that part of it. So I'm going to get that book out as quickly as I can. I already have the cover. Actually, I've done a lot of I've already done a lot of the stuff for this book. So like, it'll come quickly. I'm by no means am I going to turn this into a rapid release lifestyle, because that's just not who I am.
No, it just happened that you had 2 books at the same time, which doesn't ever happen. So I was just curious if you were gonna
wait and get this. The one that comes after that, I've already written like half of that. So
gosh, you are just a madman. I need to write. Bottle up some of your.
That's what I do.
Just right.
So yeah, there's going to be a rapid release part of this series, but it won't be like, I'm fully expect to take my time on the one after that.
Okay. And it's not like it's not something that you are strategizing. It just sort of happened this time around.
Accident.
Okay.
Yeah. Happy accident.
Nice. So the book that I'm reading right now, as we speak, the book I am reading right now is The Last Heir of Blackwood Manor. But it's a library book, so it's due back in just days. So by the time this goes out, probably I will have already finished the next book too. But at any rate, I'm really looking forward to reading At the Coffee Shop of Curiosities, Heather Weber's new book that just came out today, I think, or maybe it was yesterday. So it's on my kitchen counter, and I really can't wait to dive into that. So I'm going to quickly finish my library book so that I can start reading that.
Cool. I just wanted to put a little plug in here for the Multnomah County Library's Writer Project. The Multnomah County Library accepts self-published books from authors. And you can't be in KDP, obviously, because Kindle wants that exclusivity. But there's some really great books in here. I was in my local branch a couple of weeks ago, and I saw the notice that they had new books out in that series. And so I've been reading. There's a whole series on there on the Multnomah County writers. They're integrated in the rest of the books, so like you could search for the author and find them in the stacks with everyone else. However, you can go to the main website and look at the 2023 Writers Project, click on that link, and you'll find all of the authors that Multnomah County has in this independent authors grouping. And I actually read Valerie Geary. Maybe Valerie's listening, or a friend of Valerie is listening. I read the prequel, The Ophelia Killer, in her Brett Buchanan mystery series. And I look forward to reading more of those, because it was a really good book.
What's it called? Ophelia what?
The Ophelia Killer. Okay. And I knew it was a mystery right away, because the main object of focus was moving away from my point of view, as we've learned about mysteries, right? the mystery, the character is always looking off into the distance. So in this cover, the car is driving away. I loved the cover. It was this sort of like rainy autumn evening in the Pacific Northwest cover. I was sucked right in. And so, yeah, check it out if you want to support indie authors. I'm sure, I think Lane County has one too. I think a lot of the libraries are now doing this, but Multnomah County's is especially robust. There's like 75 books in there.
Cool.
Writer series. So check it out.
Awesome. All right. Well, we should probably get into the topic. We are talking about content writing, content marketing, content. There's so much content that you can do and write or speak or, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what content could be put out there by a writer and if you should do it. That's kind of clunky intro, but let's go with it.
Like what, like really, like I think of content as broad. I think it's as broad as it's everything. I think it's the books you write, it's the posts you put on social media, it's the podcast that you're thinking of, like all of that stuff, like it's content. Like, and I think like when we try to separate like the things we're selling and the things we're you know, the things, the other things, the adjacent things, like I don't think it's healthy to separate them. I think you have to sort of group them together. Do you think of them separately, your books and the podcast, or your books and your
I do, because when I mean, you're correct, absolutely 100%. And now from this day forward, I will probably start thinking about it in
the day Valerie thought of things differently.
But up until this point, when I think content marketing. And when I think content marketing, I think of blog posts, podcast episodes, video tutorials, inspirational videos, those sort of things, the things that you would create to let people know who you are and perhaps attract new readers or new clients.
Let's pull those apart then. Like, but I just think it's important. Let's talk about the other stuff, but I think it's important that you think about those things. Like they have to relate to the main content. Like if it's all, I watch this YouTuber, Brandon McNulty. He's got a great writing channel, talks about a lot of really just fundamental basic things. I love him, but he's doing that to promote his books. You know, every video starts out with, hey, I'm the author of these 2 books, and at the end, I'm the author of these 2 books. So yeah, but for the purpose of like what these things are, like I think this is where marketing is going. Whether you're a writer or a financial advisor or a real estate agent or I think no matter what you do, your audience, your ideal customer expects content from you. I just think that's the expectation.
At least for me, really, you know, like if I want to know more about let's say it's somebody I want to hire. So I find out about them through whatever channel, word of mouth, or just searching on the web or something like that. And then I want to see like, well, what's their about page? You know, that's copy too, your website copy, ad copy. So reading about them, what their philosophy is, and seeing if they have any lead magnets, free content that they're, you know, willing to give away, just to see if it's the right vibe. So yeah, I'm totally always looking for, do they have something I can read to see or watch to see if it's gonna fit with my needs. So I'm always looking.
Right. And if somebody doesn't have that, if someone say, hey, this is my real estate agent, and you went and looked around for that real estate agent and they didn't have something, I think at this point culturally that would seem strange.
Yeah. And like you would just go to the next person. So check, you know.
Right. Like our real estate agent, like he did these videos. It was silly, but like he just went to every restaurant in downtown Milwaukee, Oregon, and was just like ate there And I know there's the whole joke about like social media is people showing off what they eat for lunch, and that's sort of annoying. I get it. It is a little, it gets to be a bit much, but I immediately knew who he was by his just tone. And, he's a fun, kind of goofy guy who gets down to business. But like, I think we all want that like personal bit of personal access.
Yeah.
And you bring up my videos all the time, and like that I do for Patreon, and you love them. And it's like, but that's the point, right? Like you feel like you get to know me a little better through that video. And that's important to us as customers, right? Because we don't just want to pay for a product.
Right. We want connection.
Right. That's life in general. We want connection, right?
Exactly.
We buy
That's
things from
I mean.
people we know.
And
I think that's what, like,
it right there. There's the marketing slogan. We buy from people we know.
And if you think about advertising sort of prior to this like more social age, I think we're getting in touch with what we really need emotionally as people more. Like we know we want to buy things from people we know. But I think that's what advertisers were trying to do before. If you think of like if you watch Mad Men, like all of those ads are just trying to make the person feel like they know the product. It was just done in an ad room. Now it's done in your bedroom. Like you've got your iPhone and you corner of your office, and you're talking about, I don't know, the books you're reading or your favorite ice cream. I don't know. It's important. And I think part of what people get their aversion to it is that I get is like, I don't want to be a Kardashian that's just out there like blah, blah, blah. Like, well, you're not a Kardashian. It's not like there's a big difference between you and that. You're not going to sell books if you're not talking about who you are.
Yeah.
So what can you do?
Yeah. So, well, I guess the question I hear a lot is, like, is blog writing dead? Should I start a blog? Do you want to write a blog? That would be the next question I would ask. If you don't want to do it, then I wouldn't do it.
Then it's dead. It's dead to you. Everybody, you know what I think every time somebody says, is something dead? I think two things. Number one, somebody wants a click on their article because, especially like
clickbait
if you're
title.
writing, yeah, that's clickbait, number one. Like, and I don't blame, like, it's a catchy title and people click on it and read it. I certainly click on those things. But I also think that like anything you can do is both a viable option to connecting to your readers or customers, and it's also dead. Like it can be, you could write a blog and no one could read it. That's fine. Or you could write a blog and invest in the time to do it, and you could have 100 readers. It just depends on, nothing on its own works miracles. Everything requires effort, time, energy, focus, strategy, all those things. So yeah, blogging is dead. If you're just going to write a blog, post it, and then walk away expecting an audience, that is dead. It's not happening anymore. But if you want to be a blogger and you want to put the little bit of time to get it out there, blogging is as alive as it's always been. So it's about you.
Yeah. So
now I'm folding my arms like it's about you. And I'm folding my arms and saying, bang.
Bang.
For people not watching.
So yeah, I mean, we're creative people, so we can get creative with our content. And by that, I mean, anything can become content. You were talking about your real estate agent that was doing little videos on his phone about the food he was eating.
Right.
It has nothing to do with real estate other than maybe like, hey, there's this cafe right around the corner from, and if that's important to the sale, then cool. But yeah, you can do anything, and thinking outside the box is sometimes really intriguing and will get interest because it's so weird. Or I've heard of people saying like, so newsletters, that's some content that we didn't even list, but but writing your monthly newsletter, sometimes people kind of like, oh, I don't want to sit down and write it, and they just prevent themselves from doing it and procrastinate. And somebody said that they started doing videos instead. and they just emailed the video out of them just giving an author update through video. Right. And that was so much easier for them, and they started looking forward to it, and it was not a big deal anymore. And their engagement really ratcheted up because they were providing more content because it was fun for them and it was easy for them.
And you hit on it. Like, if it's fun for them and that person clicks the video and they sense like, oh, wow, this is fun for them. Mm-hmm. They're going to want to watch that thing. There's so many things that I watch and engage in that I don't know why until I stop myself and say, I love that person. I don't, there's so many little YouTube channels that I will go to, like, oh, I just like watching that person geek out about that, and don't lose out on the opportunity to, like, be you and figure and what works for you. That's a great example, actually. Like, if you don't want to sit out and write the silly newsletter, then like make a 10-minute video and be done with it. Mm-hmm. I may do that today. I have to write a newsletter. Like, I may just go make a video. I'm not. Yeah, I think that, like, the time to start is now. Like, I think that's going to be my message all the time for everything. Like, the time always to start is, the sooner you start it, the sooner you get through the warts and the awkwardness. I think that's what holds a lot of people back. It's like, well, I don't know how to do it. I don't know if it's going to work. It'll take time. Like, you really, if you have 1,000 people on your mailing list and you send out an email, like, it's not going to be great the first time, but each email you send, it gets better. You hone your voice. You figure out who you are. You figure out what works for them, what they respond to. That is just going to take some time. So I would say, like, start now, get through the lumps and the bruises as soon as you can, so that you come out on the other end good at it sooner.
And that's excellent advice for me to hear repeatedly. You can say that to me as many times as you want, Erick.
I think I say it all the time. So yeah,
because
I'm glad it works.
I have a hard time with that. I want to have my message completely figured out. I want to know what I stand for. I want to, like, have my author brand. I want it to, I don't want, it's hard for me to learn in public. And I'm really trying to do that in the past couple of years.
But I'm going to contend with that a little bit. And I think it's like, your audience doesn't know that you're learning in public all the time. They might see the difference between, like, so, okay, for example, like, when I come home from my vacation, one of the things I want to do is, like, I want to create, like, video content on my website. I want to do, like, a basic YouTube channel for my business. The first video I do and the 10th video I do are going to be different. Like, anybody watching the first one and then through the 10th one will say, wow, he's gotten better. The lighting is better. All those things that I'll be self-conscious about. But they actually don't know the degree to which I'm learning. Maybe they're a creative like you who can think through that and say, wow, he's figuring this out. But, like, most of your audience accepts the flaws. They accept the growth, all those things. Like, so I think when I hear that, I hear myself say, like, yeah, like, I have to remind myself, they don't know.
Yeah, I like that. That is helpful to hear.
Or you can just be honest about it and say, like, hey, this is my first video. I haven't done this. What do you think? Make people a part of the process of learning.
Yeah. Honesty really is disarming. Like, it breaks down expectations and prejudices. I do agree with that. And I don't know why I can't remember it in the moment.
It's hard. In the process, it's hard. Yeah. I'm working on this book as a ghostwriter. I'm working on a series of books now about empathy and understanding in business, and how people in various fields use empathy and understanding to grow their brand, grow who they are. And what's been fascinating to me I've interviewed now, by the time this airs, I'll have interviewed probably 15 successful business people across the country. And every one of them says, like, no matter where you are in your career, they all experience the same. Like, if you ask people to help, pitch in, give advice, if you ask for people to contribute, people want to help. Like, that is a practically like universal characteristic that people want to help. And that connects you to people. Like if you're going to be, again, like your first video out, if you engage them with like, hey, what did you think? They're going to love it. They're not going to, I think when you come off like wanting to be polished and that austerity of this, like you're kind of like, come engage with me, but you're holding out that hand of perfection. Like, I think that's a message people have a hard time with. I don't know. You can nail it in 2 takes instead of 10. That's what I tell myself every time I make one of those silly videos. Like, I don't need to do 10 takes to get this right. People don't care if I repeat myself. They actually probably feel the same way. So
good advice.
But imposter syndrome's real, girl. I get you. I feel you. I feel you from 110 miles away. Imposter syndrome feels real.
Yeah, it's perfectionism. I think that is my spin, or my particular brand of imposter syndrome is that that perfectionism, I think.
Your particular brand. I like you are speaking like an entrepreneur. I have branded my own
not brand, like the subset of imposter syndrome for me is perfectionism, I think.
Yeah, I get that.
And I crossed wires somewhere in my brain. This is all baggage, dear listener, but I've cross-wired in my brain somehow the perfectionism and professionalism, and those in my head. And that's why I'm like, I got to be sure, I got to have it all set out. It's got to look just perfect. Otherwise it won't be professional. And somehow that has become such a naughty word for me. I don't know.
Yeah. And that I think is, let's just tip our glasses to that. Like, I think that every one of us, if you're going to start a YouTube channel and then you go do some research on other YouTube channels, there are some people out there who are doing professional looking stuff in their basements. Hats off to them. You want to make it look as good as you can or sound as good as you can, but you might not be able to get there for 10 episodes. You might not be able to get there for, 5 newsletters, but you can't get there without those 5 newsletters. So you better write them today. No, don't write them all today. Then you'll lose your audience because you're overwhelming them. They'll spam you out of existence. But like, get through the hard stuff so that you can get to the easier stuff.
And if we are the protagonist of our own life,
are we?
Then, well, yeah.
I'm the antagonist of my own life sometimes. I am really like a villain some days. But we all are.
I suppose you could go with that too. But what I was going to say was we do have our own character arc then too. We have to change and learn and grow. And that's what connects readers to the protagonist, is seeing that growth journey and connecting with them and seeing themselves in that. So if our audience can see us growing and evolving as we are providing content for them, whatever that content is, then, and they've followed us long enough to see that growth, then they'll be even more connected with us.
So I think a key to all of this, and we're talking about like all sorts of content marketing, this is like dear world, here's me. What do you think? I think the key for me has always been, I talk like I've been doing this forever, but like in the last few years, I have a really good friend, Laura, and Laura was like a person who really fed me a lot of work early on in my career. And she always said, like, I don't know who you're writing to in your blogs. Like, your blogs, you're not writing to anyone. Write to somebody. Like, think of your ideal customer and write to them. And in the beginning, I had that same thought that I think a lot of us have. And it's like, well, my ideal customer is everyone. Like, everybody would, and like, dear listener, disavow yourself of that myth that everyone is your core audience. But take the time to get to know who that core person is. If you're an author coach and you're pitching, if you're out there making a video, like, talk to the person that has an unfinished book. Focus on them. That's who you're trying to reach. I'm writing a newsletter today to my newsletter group. I am writing to people that like the kind of writing that I write, that are intrigued by small town mysteries and like ghost stories and I'm writing to that person. And I think when you get that person in your head and make them a human being instead of this like market niche, it takes away, for me at least, a little bit of that, like, I have to get it right. I have to get it perfect. Like, they're not perfect people. You know, you're talking to them, at least in marketing a service, you're talking about a pain point for them. When I write my content, if anybody reads my website, I come off as like a person who took the same journey that customer is on, only I've gotten here, and I can help you. That works. It really does. People want to know that you're on a journey too. Put it out there for them.
That's cool.
And talk to them. Don't talk to like this like ivory tower person. Here's what I used to picture. I used to picture my mother-in-law. Love her dearly, but my mother-in-law was the kind of person that, you know, she was like, had so many lines in the water. She was just one of those people that could talk about anything and do anything. And she got ready in the morning while watching, you know, The View on NBC, like just in touch with a little bit. Like, but I always thought of her as like middle America, like wealthy middle America. I'm going to reach out. She's not my ideal customer, right? She was my mother-in-law. And she was something to strive for acceptance from, but she wasn't my ideal customer. Once I thought of who that reader customer is, different world. I've seen it in business. Like, people are like, yeah, I read your blog, I really want to talk to you.
Nice.
That's an endorsement. So get there. But it's
Be
hard
authentic.
to know.
Be authentic, have fun. Should you start it? Yes, if you want to.
If you want to.
If you want to.
If you're like, I don't want to do this, but Erick and Valerie said I have to, then you missed the message. Like,
yeah,
you
nope.
Don't
do it if you want to.
We didn't say that.
No.
Okay.
So do it if you want to.
Yeah. But if you want to.
It's not dead unless it is dead to you. There's the tagline.
There's people out there who are making marketing inroads with everything. You know, there's still, do you get, when you open your mailbox, do you still get like letters for like, hey, do you want new siding for your house or a new roof? Like, I get those all the time. Someone's making money doing that. That's supposed to be dead. It's not dead because people are connecting with it. So like, they're just doing it well. They're doing it differently so.
Nice. Well, that gives me a lot of peace, you know, like it gives me permission to not do the things that aren't interesting to me. And it gives me permission to be authentic and honest online and show my weaknesses and flaws and
your flaws. Yeah.
And my growth potential. There you go. I'll show up and be honest and show my growth potential.
It's a big deal. People want that. People love that.
I think you're right. Thank you so much for talking with me about this.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been super fun. This has been a good one for me. I like this conversation.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, see you next time.
See you next time.
Happy writing. Bye.